Okay, welcome to the first video for the Exploratory Minds project Return, something that I did during lockdown days of COVID. Now returning this with a first video on the psychology around colour. I've been looking around and I don't see many people thinking in the way that I'm thinking about the psychology around colour. And every behaviour we have current day has some origins in our earliest origin, and it has some influence from our earliest origin, put it that way. And colour is no exception. It's very influenced by our early origins. There's reasons why we find green relaxing, or pink can be relaxing because white and red mixed make pink. But the reason why white can be equated to just surrender, because it doesn't command anything, it doesn't request anything. What do I mean? Well, if you look at red, like traffic lights, red, stop, amber, get somewhat ready, green, go. And there's reasons for that. There's reasons why some of these feelings around, or how we equate certain feelings and even commands to colours, is because of our earliest origins. Green relaxes us because if we're surrounded by greenery, plants are doing well. If plants are doing well, things that feed on the plants are doing well. In our early origins, living in shelters that were basically caves, greenery meant good times, animals eating the greenery, so fruits, veg, meat, probably plentiful. If the plant life is dying, going brown, our biological evolution would think, oh, maybe it's time to be nomadic and scout out greener pastures. And, you know, we just hunt or be hunted. But why does red gather our attention? The same reason, really. Red will gather many species of bird attention as well. Many fruits out there, not all fruits, but many of them, start off like a green, maybe yellow coloration while they're not ripe. But when they do ripen, they go red. Tomatoes start green, they go red. Ripe. And apples, many variations of apples go red. There's a green one that's been selectively like domestic ones for the supermarket as well. But if you saw a brown apple and it looked like it was wet, a bit shiny but wet, not waxy, kind of shiny, which, by the way, supermarkets and food industry will put some edible kind of wax sheen on apples, which helps them preserve them during transport, also helps them be more appealing to our eye anyway. But you'd stay clear of it. It was brown. The pears tend to be green to somewhat brown when they ripe. Is an exception there, I guess. However, if I said to you a term like, today I'm going to wear a sexy brown top, you went, huh? Brown's not that sexy. How about a nice sexy red top? You might understand the terminology of the thought process better. Studies have shown that photos of women shown to heterosexual men are women dressed in red. Same photo, but one photo could be maybe a blue skirt, blue dress, let's say, and a black dress or whatever, versus red dress. The ones in the red dress were equated to be more attractive. The same photo is just different coloration than the ones, they gave them a ratio 1 to 10. How attractive is this woman? And the men equated the woman more attractive in red than they would the same woman not in red. The same was true for heterosexual women. Some men wearing a little bit of red here and there, but they didn't equate them with a whole red top. It was just red, nothing else. In some studies, others yes, but there was a bit of a grey area there. Social constructs come around these colours, but the baseline, the how we behave originally from these colours and why those social constructs are a thing at all is because of our earliest origins. Red doors that are painted red in China because it's a symbolism of good luck, prosperity, and riches, to encourage that kind of thing coming into life. Whether they just do it traditionally because it's a done thing or actually believe it or not, they find it more visually appealing. Because fruits are red and they stand against the green background of the vegetation, if you've got really good green, healthy looking plant and it's producing coloration in its fruit, red, then and it grabs our attention. It grabs the birds' attention. They eat the berries and they fly around and defecate, and the seeds survive the gut process and land where it lands. A whole new plant starts to grow, hopefully, if it's landing in an appropriate place, right? Blue is more like a business kind of thing, and yellows are used to grab people's attention in advertising. And I don't like the excessive way some yellows are used in retail. I find it aggressive. I was just like, leave me alone. It's trying to grab your attention too much. And and the blues, certain shades of blues, because of what I see accessibly every day, I feel like I got some stress disorder from blues and yellows excessively in business, trying to grab people's attention. But generally blue does relax, but it also keeps us awake because the sky is blue. When the sun's coming up in the sky, you can see clear blue sky. It kicks off momentum in our brain. Our brains respond to it. UV light, we got blue, and it could transition into UV spectrum as well. That's where the blues are along the spectrum, right? And it keeps us awake because it's daytime. It's part of our awake, and because we're not nocturnal creatures, we don't feel more awake in darkness or the sky was dull, typically. And there's different variations of that. Whole response to UV light actually hitting our skin generates a whole chain reaction in our bodies for vitamin D, but psychologically we feel better in more presence of vitamin D. But why? Because a knock-on effect is complicated in terms of what goes on biologically in the body. The UV light what it does, it's a reaction with the fatty layer just underneath the skin. And eventually, even our kidneys are involved. And eventually, you get vitamin D. But the whole process increases serotonin, which is a good, feel-good neurotransmitter. We think clearer, with more focus in presence of more natural light. And which is why I want to invest in a UV lamp. Although, you've seen the price of them. The darker times a year, in terms of daylight, really make me suffer a bit. My red flag, and why is it a red flag? Because red gets our attention, right? It's like alert, attention, red alert. So my red flag for somebody who might be a little bit disturbed, and this is from personal experience, looking into the psychology of why certain colours are worn. People tend to wear darker colours when they're feeling a darker mood, but if they're wearing blue as well, they might be more businesslike, but they're wearing blue combined with red, which is purple. You know, if they're wearing purple then, and black, particularly if they're dyeing their hair purple as well, that's a red flag to me, personally. Because purple's kind of a little bit mysterious. It wants to grab your attention. Some shades purple do. But also wants to relax you, but not in the same way. Maybe pink might grab your attention, but relax you, but not command anything. Red is more intense of a command, more feelings and so on. Red advertising, there's an opportunity here. There's something in this for you, like the fruit, red fruit. And reds in a sexual way, it's definitely a thing in psychology, but it's all different for different creatures who evolved very differently, and natural selection dictated how their perception of colour was favouring their biology. The bee goes to a flower because it's seeing the light that's reflected that we don't see. We see the colour of the flower, but the bee sees the light, the UV light reflected off the flower with its compound eyes. And so he knows where its food is. It doesn't go, oh, I'm going to pollinate this one, that one. It's just hungry. It goes to, and that natural selection is favoured that activity to pollinate the flower. And those are the flowers that succeed. Natural selection wouldn't do well for our biology if there were individuals with some anomaly that their taste and smell wasn't too good. And seeing browns as good food source versus reds for some reason, they were probably eating rotten food, you know. So that gets bred out. What gets bred in, you're seeing, oh, shiny, clean looking red fruit. That's worth picking. Smell it. We got sense of smell for a good reason. Certain smells, our brain tells us, no, that's labeled as bad smell, gives you a bad feeling, versus other smells is like good smell. Of course, of flies hanging around defecation, that's smells or whatever gases come off it. It's an alert for food for them, because there's different levels of decay, which are decaying because things, biology is causing a decay in the first place. But a fruit would go brown and wet looking and mushy because it's being decayed by bacteria, funguses, other things. Some higher level creatures may even see that as beneficial food for their biology. Beneficial food for our biology dictated how we feel about the colours we perceive today. It's a biological thing. Surrounded by greenery, we're going to find that we increase our creativity. a lot of creative people will tell you they grew up in rural areas. Not everyone, but or there was always plants around the house. Studies have been shown on office environments that are clinical and not open plan as well. It's just kind of clinical. Don't really have the staff come up with new ideas how they're doing things in the office or running their company. Whereas there's other studies that shown that open plan office with potted plants here and there, plenty of greenery, the creativity was on a rise for new ideas of how they did the job and benefiting each department in an office environment. Crime rate began to drop with new studies on putting more greenery in high streets in some areas of the UK and across Europe. Crime rate dropped as opposed to areas where there wasn't much greenery. So that's the thing. It works because if you're surrounded by the greenery, you're going to be not on alert for where do we get our sustenance from. There's no greenery, therefore there's no fruit, and there's probably not going to be as many animals eating the fruit, so we can't kill any animals for a fur coat or whatever for other things that we're going to use. I'm pretty sure our earliest origins, if we're going to kill something, we used most of it. I think anything we could find of good use, we'll use it, right? So there's that psychology around it. It works that way because of a biological need. That's interesting. But red flag for me is purple, certain shades of purples, where on clothes that are worn a lot along with black colouring. Black, dark mood, and it's fine. Sometimes I wear darker clothes, not so much these days, but rewind some time ago where things were going on with me, like really, really pissed at the world. I wore more black then. Really, really annoyed at the world than I do today. Now I might wear a black jacket, a suit jacket, over shirt, or underneath is never that black. I do have some red tops recently as well. Studies have shown with photos, just a wall, regardless of what the person's wearing, on heterosexual people, women looking at men and men looking at women, if the wall that they somewhat attractive and smartly dressed person is in front of, on a ratio, on a rating from 1 to 10, they were asked, here's a photo of this person against a red wall. Equate how attractive they are. What would you score it? And the scores were higher, those depicted with a red wall behind them, as opposed to those who were not, against a blue or black wall. Interesting, right? So, if you want to look more attractive, regardless of your face, your body weight, and all this, we're a bit red today because why? It just gets people's attention. I was told I wore a red shirt the other day. I was told, you look really good in red. I looked in a mirror when I put this on, and I thought, this actually suits me. I look, and that was something I would personally say is more attractive than other things I wear. I do need a new wardrobe, but time, energy, money, sort of thing. Some white suits me as well if it's a right kind of shirt, but whites tend to show up all the marks of things, so I don't wear white too much. Some black with other colors, black shirts do, but you don't want to overdo the black because it looks a bit of a dark mood, unless that's what you're going for, Also, black can be shown as a respectful thing. Like everyone's going to be in a dark mood missing somebody that's passed away at a funeral, so everyone's traditionally, most cultures, asked to wear black. However, there can be exceptions to that. I wouldn't want people to wear black when I pass away. And not to be morbid, because we all pass away eventually. But I wouldn't want them to be forced not to either. You do you. Whatever colours you want to wear. There's a lot to be said with the emotion that certain colours give us, and even in ancient Egyptian times, they were looking into colour. I've got this written in front of me now. There's a little bit about that. This is exploringyourmind.com. So the psychology of colour, what is its purpose? Colours stimulate our brain in different ways. Actually, in the past, Egyptians and Chinese linked the effect of colour with the idea of healing, encouraging certain states of consciousness or emotions. Yeah, a lot of colour techniques are used in films here and there to give a particular mood for a certain scene. Colour, in essence, is much more than an optical phenomenon, it says here. I'll put the link below to this. That is, all have their own meaning, all have specific impact on our brain, and therefore the psychology of colour is today a basic and essential tool in neuromarketing. Understanding how the consumer reacts to certain colour stimuli can lead to higher sales. Definitely, you look at sales, there's a lot of colours that are typical in their use. Reds, blues, yellows. Although it's not always 100% correct, we can see similar patterns of reaction that show us that indeed the psychology of colour is useful. Likewise, we can't forget the effect that colour has on the world of art and cinema. David Lynch, for example, is a director obsessed with escaping from the world of logic to immerse himself in subtle kaleidoscope of emotions. And in his productions, he always uses the contrast of black and white because, according to him, it symbolizes the fight from the real world to the dreamlike. Now, white is a combination of all the colors across the spectrum that we perceive. You get a spinning wheel of the colors of the spectrum and spin it fast enough, and you're just going to perceive white. But white flags tend to be used as surrender. It's not asking anything. It's I stop. I surrender. I surrender all things. Not demanding anything. Not wanting to be a center of attention other than the message of there's nothing more. We have nothing more. We surrender. Do what you will. Yeah. So we're no longer a threat. Whereas red, look at certain insects, reds and yellows, banded black, red and yellow as well. It's like wasp. We tend to advertise. And it's a warning, actually, for the yellows to say, look, I am poisonous. Do not attack me. So, other than just being normal color, there's no such thing as normal color, being a neutral color, neutral feelings, you wouldn't feel either way about it. Well, then that's not very good for the insect to advertise that they want to be left alone anyway, it's better for them to warn rather than just attack for the sake of it. Just to warn, look, I'm dangerous, therefore you need to leave me alone, otherwise there are consequences. It's embedded in the very structure of nature itself, and I don't mean that in a spiritual or nebulous, esoteric way. I mean it in a very real, actual way that influences us as human beings and the majority of nature itself. There are rules here that have been naturally selected and bred into life on Earth. So, what each color means and what it can do is a title or paragraph here on this article in front of me. Now, let's dive into psychology of color. We'll look at studies carried out by Dr. Eva Heller in her book, as well as the current work of the psychology and Stanford professor Jennifer Aker. She recently wrote an interesting analysis of colors applied in the world of neuromarketing. Blue, and there are many different shades of blue. There are many shades of every color. It's something like 16.7 million that the human eye can perceive. All colors, if you count just the shades of each color and so on, the variations. The 0.7 is there because some can differentiate between some of the more subtle shading of different colors, the intensity and contrast and so on. So blue is the most used color in offices and business because of how productive and not intrusive it is. It keeps us awake though. Not like high alert attention grabbing, but it subtly keeps us awake because of the natural instinct to see blue sky equals it doing something to our brains because of natural selection. Those were daytime animals. So those who survived the breeding over time naturally selected those who were more cooperative during the day and focused and awake during the day because they were daytime animals for the most part than those who weren't. Although some people say they're a night owl, but there's different reasons for that. It's when most people are all gone to bed and it's like, finally, a bit of peace, and you may work on something online, on a computer or something, on everyone's out the way, you can focus. That's a bit different. But it says, like it says here, it is a color that suggests a sense of confidence and trust in a brand. Yeah, although I think it's been used so excessively, it's become boring and very typical. Oh, business blue. Kind of, that's how I feel about it now. Probably because I work in retail. The company I work for uses lots of blues and horrible yellows as well. I don't like yellow, these bright neon yellows. I find it too aggressive. It's like, look at me. We're going to buy this, buy that. It's like, go away. There's too much color here. Too much in their face. And people get word blind to lots of advertising, all this color everywhere anyway. Where I work uses too much of that, and the people just don't read what's right in front of them, which is very annoying, because when you have signage that states what the deal is, people just still asking, what is the deal with this, or can I have one of these and what other, and I'm saying, oh, do you want to take advantage of the deal? Oh, I didn't know that, because they just don't read. But partially they're not reading because it's just too much stimulation, and we end up like blocking it out. So blue has proven to suppress people's appetite. They've done studies of people trying to be more control in their diet, stop eating junk food and so on, and they had a room in their house. They was told to paint a room, if you can, and be part of the study, blue. like a spare room or whichever. It might be a chill out room or wherever they go or whatever. And do things, be present in the room for some hours each day. And they found their appetite wasn't so high. It brought it down. Interesting, right? And this is a biological thing. So they find it suppresses people's appetite. Therefore, it shouldn't be used to advertise food. So you don't see too many blues being used in a restaurant. You might see reds, greens, blacks, maybe the odd yellow here and there, maybe some orange. You don't see a lot of blue. There are 111 shades of blue, although it says here, but I would say it's probably more than that. And some purples tend to be more of a blue than a purple. At blue and red mixed together make purple. So you get a bluey purple or purpley blue. That's still what, like mauve, I think they call it. But it's so many transitions, it's unreal. It's a primary color for painters. The most popular shade of blue was the ocean blue. It was the most expensive, but gave their paintings an exceptional vividness. Red. Red is also used most widely. One of the most widely used colors in marketing. It stands out from other colors, is appealing, and is used to attract attention. It grabs our attention. It says there's something in this for you. Like food, ripe fruit, maybe intimacy, advertising intimacy, red lipstick for women. Red is used to stimulate the appetite and encourage impulse buys. We have what's called till tellers at the front of our tills, and we got to encourage people here and there. We don't have any reds in front of there, but you know, head office never freaking listen. I would say put some red at the front of the till. That will encourage more impulse buying at the front of the till than regardless of what you're selling. Although we used to sell, I mean, no longer do, packets of, like, you got wine gums, fruit chews, whatever, mints, chews, whatever, Fruit Loops, £1, UK pound, be like UK American dollar, pound. Our pound's like your dollar, because it's decimalized, 100 pennies to a pound, 100 cents to a dollar. So that was more impulse buying than anything, because some of the packets would be reds and oranges, different colors that would grab attention anyway, let alone it was a conversation starter. He said, oh, I used to love those when I was a kid. And you get a conversation, it's like, oh yeah, that took me right back when I tried those. You get talking about it. It also represents blood and life, certain reds. It's a dynamic, seductive color capable of awakening our most aggressive side as well. So I'll put the link to this article below. Yellow in marketing represents optimism and youth. To me, the excessive, like, day glow yellows, I find it like it's like somebody shouting at you. I do have mild synesthesia. I don't hear colors, but I have certain combinations of sounds that are done in a particular way will cause light anomalies that are colored in my vision. I never see any yellows when it happens. It's more like a sort of a neon green blue sparks here and there. It's hard to describe. But look up synesthesia. That's a thing where the senses get intertwined a little bit in the brain. It shouldn't be overused in stores because it quickly tires the eyes. That's why it is usually used more on peripheral shelves than the central shelves in the store. I still think we should try put red at the front of the tills. Some studies show that deep yellow tones cause babies to cry. Yeah, wonder why that would be. Experts in the psychology of color. For experts in the psychology of color, yellow is a contradictory color. It represents both good and bad, optimism and jealousy, understanding and betrayal. Well, no wonder I don't like it. I don't like lack of consistency. It's like pick a lane. And yeah, yellow feels that way to me. It feels aggressive, undecisive. Yeah, that's interesting that they're saying that. Wow. For experts in the psychology of color, yellow is contradictory. It represents good and bad, optimism, jealousy. Wow. Okay. Yellow illustrates and favors creativity. Well, I don't know. I think greens, many studies are shown because of the greens. The green were encouraging more creativity than the yellow, I would say. And they're talking about green here. Green is the color of growth, renewal, and rebirth. Advertising resources are plentiful, so chill and relax. You don't have to fight for gaining sustenance resource. It's available whenever you want it. If you surround yourself with green, you know, at the most primitive level, that's what the brain's doing. So, oh, green, oh, it's time to relax in. Yeah, we're okay, we're safe. It's associated with health, nature, freshness, and peace. It helps with problem solving and encourages freedom, problem solving, creativity, like I said, healing and tranquility. Dark green represents money, economic matters, and the Borgo-ISIL. I don't know what that word means. Please educate me on what it means. I'll put the link below. I don't even know if I pronounced it right, but you'll come across it when you see the green category. There are more than 100 shades of green. The ones closer to the middle being mood boosters. It also represents budding love. Green is a color that helps us to relax. Actually, it's useful for people with depression. It's interesting that we have greens and reds for the coloring that is in for sales around Christmas. Red getting attention, and the green is like, it's like saying, hey, buy this, and it'll chill you out. At the same time, perhaps. Black. The color black is associated with elegance, secrecy, mystery, and also power. No, I don't know. The color black is just darker mood, more aggressive, I think. I would say that. And certainly mystery. And there's a red flag. For me, people wearing black a lot, very often, along with purples. Don't trust those people. That seems overly biased, and people may have a knee-jerk response to that, saying, "Oh, you're reading too much into that. Maybe they just like those colors, or they're using those colors because of how they feel." And you know, it's the purples are not. It doesn't equate to honesty too much. You got your blue part of purple, red and blue make purple. Blue, your business, environment. So you want perhaps people to cooperate with you, but you also want their attention, so you got the red as well. But you also want to hide some things as well. And companies may have, well, often have trade secrets, but there's black here as well. So see that combination and those variables, that these variables and these things, how we think of these colors, they're both primal and natural, as well as social constructs that influence each other around in a circle. In the past, it represented priests, and now it represents conservative people. There are 50 shades of black. It symbolizes the end of something, death or loss. In the world of physics, black absorbs 100% of direct light. Well, that would be the black. There are different shades of black, therefore, this microphone, there's some reflection going on here. But there is a paint, I don't know what they call it, it's a certain name, and after the name, you call it black, that absorbs so much that if you have a 3D object and you paint it all, it just looked like it's got no sides. It looked like a flat object, perhaps, because it's not reflecting anywhere. It just absorbs so much. There's some YouTube videos on this color, this paint. So it absorbs 100% of direct light, and therefore does not reflect any length of the wavelength, should be worded as, of the spectrum, which is why throughout history the color black has been associated with danger, evil, or the like. But it's just not honest. It's concealment, isn't it? I would trust somebody in just black more than I would in black and purple. Although if it's a black suit entirely, black shirt and suit, they're probably some religious indoctrinator. If it's black suit with white shirt, they're probably trying to sell you something, or black ties or whatever. Just, it'd be typical of those people. Now, maybe somebody would rebel against such expectation and feel like it's biased to label people that way, so they may be wearing lots of different colors, but be looking for business anyway, and how people interact with them is dictated how they respond to color anyway. So there's always going to be an exception. Every rule has an exception, but these rules are on a biological primitive level, as well as layered on top would be, what does that mean in society that is typical of such combinations of colors and so on? What social constructs around behave in particular ways in environments with particular colors. Lots of reds in a room. You got a red front door. Maybe an example, Chinese culture where you got different ornaments with reds and symbolism. You got plenty of reds in it. It's a symbol for luck, prosperity, because it's like the fruit. You're lucky to get the perfect, just ripe, the right place, the right time. It's just ripe to pick, and it's nutritional. You got your sustenance and so on. Reds and greens and gold is used in Chinese ornamental artwork. Purple. So it'll be interesting what they say here. Marketing, beauty, or anti-aging products often use purple. It's calming. Well, it's complicated color, I think. There's so many different shades. And I wonder how many people feel about certain shades of purple or mauve as well. Many brands use it to represent creativity, imagination, and wisdom. I don't see that actually happening much. Many purple and femininity, magic and spirituality go together. Sure, they pretend to be into self-help and pretend to be spiritual people. I'm being very biased here, but that is Again, because of my experience around that and what I think it meant to me, how I feel about such colours, and how people come across who excessively wear such colours all the time. You do you. If your experience is positive around such people wearing that colour format often, then great. I could be wrong on this. Orange. Let me read a bit more on purple first, what they have to say. There are around 41 shades purple. When we use it too much, here we go. When we use it too much, it generates ambivalence. Experts advise against painting the whole rooms this colour. All these walls used to be like kind of a purple colour. I hated it. I didn't like it for some time, and eventually we got it decorated this way, or I got it decorated this way. In marketing, the ceiling needs painting. I'll get that done sometime this year. In marketing, it is associated with orange. This is associated with enthusiastic shopping. I like orange. It feels like a positive and dominant color. Positive dominance, dominantly positive, I guess. Not dominance in a overly controlling way, but in a good way. It reflects emotion and warmth. However, if an intense orange tone is used, it can be associated with aggression. Yeah, I can figure that, like a day glow kind of oranges could be too aggressive. Therefore, the tone should be left. The tone should be soft, friendly, and comfortable. It is a favorite in the world of advertising because it encourages buying. And I don't see work using too many orange colors either. I think it's very tired and boring, the colors we use, because I hate these yellows, these blues, yellows, blues, whites, dark reds, more like burgundy than anything else. And I think, probably because I've been around it so much, I just get bored with it. Orange not only favours positive emotion, it also generates sensations of flavour. Now I wonder what would happen if we painted our canteen green. And you have break. And you come back from break, it'd be super chill. It's no good me coming out with these ideas because the head office never listen anyway. So, it's one of those, like any retail company out there, they're so self-indoctrinated, they are almost cult-like, I would say. Without saying who I work for. And it's working for to make ends meet, so I'm going to have a life outside of whoever I work for. And they seem to miss that point as well. Typical. Pink symbolizes charm and courtesy. Yeah, well, pink, like the white flag, I give up. But also a bit of red in there, red and white making pink. It's like a bit of red. Oh, notice me, but I'm okay. I'm notice me because I'm charming. I'm not demanding anything. I want to grab your attention, but I'm okay. That kind of sort of pink feels like a little bit, and different shades of pink, of course. It is a shade of erotic tenderness. It's an interesting way to put it. Of course, there's reds there that can be how pink or how red is your pink, depends on, doesn't it? Pink symbolizes sweet, childlike, and small. It was Madame de Pompadour's favorite color. Whoever that was, I don't know. But I guess in typical social constructs and constructs in society will think of it as sweet, childlike. I don't know about small though. I don't know why that's a thing, but it's like pink. It's kind of cuteness, I guess. Maybe you don't agree with these descriptions, or maybe you will. as we pointed out at the beginning, the impact of each colour sometimes depends on our experience. However, commercially and artistically, these basics are useful and effective. The other colours are missing from this list, like brown, gold, silver, or grey. We've limited this list to the most impactful colours. Those that the art world and neuromarketing use more often and almost without us noticing secretly influence us. Yeah, there's a huge amount of colour usage in advertising and the film industry and everywhere all around us that we are super saturated with, so much so and we don't really see it until it's pointed out and talked about and you look into it, and it's quite the rabbit hole. There's other things I could say about it, but maybe I'll make that subject matter another video for us to look into. Thank you very much for watching. Hope this is interested you. And what do you think about the psychology of colour? Do you like the colours in the logo above? EMP Network, Exploratory Minds Project Network. I think that's all I've got to say for now. I look forward to doing the next video. Thank you for watching. Cheers.